Well, I'm really excited right now because we are at the 15-year anniversary of that incredible Illinois Fighting Illini basketball team that made it all the way to the national championship game. We got Bruce Weber and Roger Powell here joining me to talk about it. Bruce, of course, the K-State head coach, has been for the last 8 years, but he was the head coach of Illinois back in 04-05. Roger Powell, now an assistant coach at Gonzaga. He was a starter for all 39 games of that incredible 04-05 season. Gentlemen, I'm so glad you're both here to talk about this. How often do the two of you think back on that incredible season?
Well, for me, it's quite often. And the reason it happens, and Roger will probably tell you this, every time I go through O'Hare, somebody's yelling at me. I was at All-State. I was at the Final Four. And I kind of joke, there must be 100,000 people that came to that game at the All-State Arena. So, people bring it up. I still get letters, still get emails, just so it comes up. And then obviously you see Roger on the road recruiting. Talked to D. Brown the other day. Darren called. When they called, obviously your thoughts go to that season and what happened and what we accomplished.
Yeah, for me, I mean, it's always kind of in my heart. I tell a lot of people, especially a lot of the guys I coach now, that, you remember your 4 years of college and more than anything, I've been coaching now for starting in my 10th year in college basketball, played for 6 years professionally, but, my 4 years in college is something that's always been special to me. And then obviously my senior year, when you make a run like we had to the national championship, to the Final Four, that was the best sporting, year, best sporting, couple of weeks of my life, and it's something I'll always remember.
So you had that astonishing start. We'll call it a start. It was 29 games. Your start to the season of an undefeated 29-0. When during that run, guys, did you first realize, oh, we got something special here?
I mean, it was kind of like just one game at a time, it was going so fast. It was so surreal. And obviously the coaching staff, Coach Weber did a good job of us helping us keep a level head. You just kind of went one game at a time. You had some moments in the season, like when we beat Wake Forest at home, where we took over the number one position. But then other than that, I think all the games kind of just ran together, and, when you're in that type of a season and you're winning like that, you don't get too high, too low. I mean, it's just kind of one game at a time. And then you look up and you're like, geez, we're 29-0. How did this happen?
Yeah, I think the thing Roger brought up to me is the most amazing part is that they kept a level head and they kept humble. And you have no idea, Mike, how much attention our guys got. They could not leave the practice facility without people there wanting autographs. And, we would go to hotels and they were waiting for us in the lobby. We had to go up kitchen elevators. Our bus had to go underground. The movie at Northwestern, night before Northwestern game, we take them to a movie in Evanston area, and they get a standing ovation, and they got to get security to get them out of the building. So it was, and then obviously the practice at the Final Four. I told them before. I said, this is going to be an incredible moment, guys. And they were, how many are going to be there? I said, well, at least 20, and there were probably 30 or 40 there for the practice. So, but they kept a level head and they kept consistent and dealing with it, and were so focused. But to me, it was beating Wake Forest, and I always remember that game. And I'll remember Steve Welmer, the official. We're up 37 points, and he yells at me. He goes, Weber, and I'm like, the ref's yelling at me. What the heck? And he goes, Weber, and then he goes, please look at the score. And I looked, and we were up 37. He goes, would you sit down and enjoy this? And it made me laugh. But, the big game, and Roger, we had to go to Arkansas right after that weekend on the road at Little Rock. And, you just beat number one. Are you going to let down? And we fought our butts off and won the game, a road game, big crowd. That's when you kind of knew, I thought at least, I knew we were pretty good.
Well, and by the way, to add some context to our younger viewers, that wasn't just Wake Forest. It was number one Wake Forest with Chris Paul playing on it. Roger, do you remember Bruce that year being the type of guy who'd be up 37 points and the official needs to say, hey, let's enjoy this fella?
I mean, to be honest, like our practices were so competitive. we never let up, and I think that was the reason we were so good. Every practice, it didn't matter if you were winning winning a drill by 15, you just kept going. And I think, coach's mind frame was to instill in us that never quit, keep going, keep pressing, keep getting better mentality. So during that game, like we never relaxed. We were going at it. And I think that's just the reason you can go, 29-0 and only lose your last regular season game. You never let up. You never get satisfied. So, it was special. And when the buzzer went off and we won, they look at the score and say, hey, wow, this did a good job. All right, next game, let's go.
Yeah. Bruce, you mentioned the movie and the standing ovation. First off, do you remember what movie it was?
I don't know. I'll be honest, I didn't go, but Roger, at Evanston, we used to we went bowling. I tried to do anything to keep them loose. Even on the way to the Final Four, we stopped in Collinsville, Illinois, and no one was supposed to know we were going to go bowling. And we get there and people are lined up outside the place. And, I just wanted them to relax and enjoy it. So, but it was incredible, the amount of tension. And it's still to this day, like I say, people, it was the greatest season in Illinois basketball history.
You brought up the fans there. How do you two describe what Assembly Hall was like that year for you guys?
Oh man, it was crazy. I mean, every game definitely a sellout. The Orange Crush, jumping and yelling, every second of the game, and I think you could just feel that there was like a level of excitement and a level of love for us, and like kind of like what you said, Coach Weber said, when we go back, we still get emails. Well, there's some love there for our team. And you can feel it that season. Like people really appreciated, how hard we were working, how much heart and blood, sweat, and tears we were laying out on the court. And you can just feel it. You can feel it from the fans. You can feel it from everybody in Chicago. You can feel it from everybody in the state of Illinois. And, even when I was playing professional basketball in Italy, I ran into a guy who was a fan of our team, and he recognized me in Italy and was just talking about how amazing it was to, follow our team when he was traveling over in Europe. So, I mean, you could feel it, and it was electric. And, and it's college basketball. When college basketball is at its best and when teams are, competing and winning and doing things like that, supernatural seasons, exciting seasons, like fans, they feel like they're a part of it. And that in that year and that season and the feeling in Assembly Hall kind of embodied that.
I think for me, the big thing is, I don't know if you remember, when I first got there, fans a lot of times just wore blue. And it was, we were blue and orange. And they started the orange outs, Roger will know, and we had the infamous game with Wisconsin where we wore the orange and they wore the red, and no one could tell on TV who was who. So, but, we started the orange out, and then it was keep it orange. And the arena was it was bright orange. It was, and I think that was intimidating for the fans also, or for the opponents also, because of the electricity in the arena, everyone wearing the same color. But it was everywhere you went. Even a homeless guy in Chicago, one time grabbed me and he said, you're the coach. And he goes, I slept on you last night. He opened up one of the newspapers, the Tribune, and there's my picture.
Oh,
and,
wow.
and he goes, I know you. So it was incredible.
All right. Now we're going to get to my favorite part of the interview, the Arizona game. I can't tell you how many people come up to me, and whenever something is brought up about either Illinois basketball or that season, they point out that astonishing comeback. You're down 15 to a team exploding with talent with only 4 minutes left, and you somehow got the win. Give me the one memory that sticks out most about that Elite Eight game.
Oh, I mean, one, that's kind of hard to do. I think for me, and I share this when I would speak, I did like a lot of speaking engagements after college about my faith and everything. And I just remember praying when we were down like 15 points, and I was just like, God, man, if we're meant to go to the Final Four, or if we're meant to, keep this season going, I have no idea how it's going to work, but we need your help. So I remember literally praying on the court. I'm not sure when it was. It was when we were down and the lead looked kind of surmountable, but all I remember is like we started getting a bunch of steals, tied the game up, and then we won. So we kind of went from praying to like a feeling of, hopelessness, a feeling of, man, it was a good run, to celebrating on the court and cutting down nets. I mean, it's crazy.
I think to me, the big thing is, like we talked about before, their focus. And they, even in that tough time and you're down like that, they stayed focused and kept playing and making plays. And and everybody made a play. It wasn't one guy or another guy. But the big play for me was we came out of the timeout. I think we're down 3. And I switched matchups. I have no idea. Jack Ingram was in there, and he's a big guy, and I didn't want him on somebody. We were going to foul if we had to. We said one trap and then a foul. And Jack deflects the ball. Darren gets it. Jack runs up in ball screen, and Darren just pops up and makes the 3 to tie it. And I mean, just incredible, that all those things kind of worked out. And, that's obviously the sad part of that whole season was my mom passing at the at the United Center, during our Big Ten tournament. And, you have a lot of things going through your head. But the last thing she said to me, I talked to her like Wednesday or Thursday night before we went up to Chicago. She just said, "I wish your dad was here because this has been a fairy tale story." And, she said, it's just amazing to be part of it. And as soon as the game's over, obviously there's coaching staff, your wife, your family, but, just thinking about my mom. And I always said she was up there, getting steals for us, knocking that ball away so we could come back.
It is truly one of the greatest comebacks you'll ever see. I was watching it again the other day, and the electricity when, like you said, Bruce, Darren hits that 3, I think it was like 80-77. And I'm sure you guys didn't realize it, but us fans who weren't at the game were watching, and they cut to Bill Murray. And Bill Murray in 05 was even bigger than he was now, and he's going crazy. And it was like this unbelievable fans moment. Roger, I can't imagine what it was like in the huddle when you guys went to overtime with the game tied then.
Oh, it was crazy. It was so loud. I mean, you could barely hear anything. And I've had friends and people, I don't know if it was real, but they said it was so loud in Illinois, in Chicago, that it said it kind of had a small earthquake register. And believe it or not, that arena, it felt like that. I mean, my wife to this day says it was the best sporting event she's ever been to, and we've been to NBA games. I grew up going to Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan was playing, and like this by far, that game was just the best environment I've ever been to. Best sporting environment ever for me.
I had an unbelievable picture of Darren's shot, and it's from the other end, photographer, and it's a big one I had in the office, but you can see the fans. Darren's about to release the 3, and there's one guy covering his eyes, another guy going 3, like he knew it was going in before it even, and all the expressions, of all the people and anxiety, I guess. But, I wish I had the one after the ball went through because it sure was a difference maker.
So I know the season didn't end exactly the way anybody wanted with the loss to North Carolina, but you still had that week of the Final Four, right? You get that incredible win to go to the Final Four. You did it in one of the 2 home big cities in Chicago. The Final Four is in the other big city in St. Louis. What do you remember about the days after the Arizona win before you played Louisville?
Man, for me, it was like a fairy tale. It's like every kid who plays basketball, dreams of playing in the Final Four. So, being able to go back to Champaign and all the excitement, the fans, excited about us leaving, going to St. Louis, and then getting there, and they have this ceremony where they give you a box with a watch, and you get your ring, and it's like, man, it feels like you've actually made it. It's like, we are here, and this is our Final Four watch. It was crazy. And then, like Coach Weber said, I mean, the whole season we had, when we would go places, we had a ton of fans waiting for autographs. When you get to the Final Four, and we made it to St. Louis, and we saw people lined up to see us get off the bus, and you see those big pictures with, like, your team on the side of buildings, it's like, man, you feel like a rock star, and you got the police escort. I mean, it was crazy. And, it's something that every time I go to the Final Four when I was a coach, I kind of, relive the experience of going as a player in 2005?
Well, for me, and Roger will remember, I actually had driven up. I think I recruited before we played in Chicago, the Arizona game. And after, I just said, it was getting late. We had, done the celebration, all that. I told the coaches, get them on the bus, get them back to Chicago. I'll drive with my wife. I'll finish up some interviews. And all of a sudden I get a call, like not one call, 3, 4 calls. And they said, you got to come, coach. You got to catch up with us. And they got on 57, and there's fire trucks on the bridges. There's people on the road on 57 coming down. And then they said, there could be 5,000 people waiting for us when we get back. And it was, I don't know, Roger, it might have been 1, 2 in the morning. And I mean, people were just there. We couldn't get out of the bus. And we could have signed autographs. I think finally about 2:33, I said, you guys got to go, because you got to get home and get ready. We got to still play some games. And obviously Roger had the unbelievable game against Louisville, leading to the national championship. But I guess my greatest memory after practice, I told them to go back. I was going to finish up. This is in St. Louis. And I just said, I'm going to walk back to the hotel. And I had no idea, when you think about 35, 40,000 people at a practice and I'm trying to walk back, I literally, and this is a true story, and I had people chasing me down Broadway, and I was running, looking back, and there was a police, like a blockade, and I ran through the police blockade, and this police officer's blowing his whistle, yelling at me, and I got to get back to the hotel. And I look back, and it seemed like hundreds of people chasing me, but I'm not sure it was that many, but it was something I always remember.
You guys were the Beatles, for crying out loud.
It felt like it.
Yeah.
Roger, you were an ordained minister at that time. So who was the one that you guys turned to for speeches? Was it you or was it Coach?
Oh man, Coach for sure. I sometimes would lead a prayer here and there, but it was awesome. It was for me, that was an awesome year. I really got serious about my faith, and it's just, it was special, man. And I always remember it, and I got to share my faith. I didn't really like push it on people, but it was a great platform for me to just share about how much Jesus had done in my life, and it was cool. And I loved the prayers with the team, man. They loved it, man. They gave me the nickname the Rev, so that was kind of fun having that nickname. And it's kind of stuck with me ever since.
I think it helped with his humbleness. All our guys, we talked about staying focused and the maturity and the attention they got. But with, Roger, his humbleness, they all were pretty good. I mean, D, obviously, National Player of the Year. And, we had 3 guys All-American and just, a lot of success. And everybody, all those guys all played in the NBA at some time. But they stayed humble, stayed focused. You talked about almost perfection. We're really two possessions from 39-0. We led Ohio State on the road for 39 minutes, I think, in 52 seconds. And Sylvester was the guy, I think, hit the 3, if I remember right. And it was a long 3. And I thought at that time, it was crushing, but it probably helped us. It helped us focus. And then the last game, Carolina played unbelievable. Arizona played unbelievable against us, but too bad James Augustine only played 8 minutes. I'll always remember that. I'll tell you a great story. I got a picture of a toilet after the game, and it's this envelope with a toilet. And I'm like, what? I had so much mail, and I'm like, what the heck is this? And a fan of Illinois, she had the toilet, and then on the first photo, and then there's a photo behind it, she put a little plaque on the toilet, and it was the names of the officials from the game. And she said every time she, and flushed the toilet, she remembered them. So, we had, Darren had a shot, Luther had a shot. I think won the tie, won the win, and we just couldn't get it done. It was sad, but just, and then we still go back. We had 25,000 at the football stadium waiting for us, and so just amazing to be part of, and just so proud to be these guys' coach.
For me, I just, I look at it now. I mean, this is my 10th year, starting my 10th year of coaching in college, and I think that year for me just embodied the beauty of college basketball, and how a team of young men can come together and compete and captivate a whole city, a whole state, and then not only that, but almost reach perfection, and then playing in an arena with, over almost 70,000 fans, 60,000 fans is just it's college basketball at its finest. And I think this year with what's going on, realizing that was taken from us, not being able to play in the Final Four. Hopefully, I thought we had a chance to get there, but not being able to experience that, not being able to watch March Madness. I think you really get a taste for how much as a young college athlete, as a coach, as a fan, we should appreciate that opportunity. And every year, a new team gets the opportunity to win, a new team gets the opportunity to experience it. And it's just a special thing. And, it's something that I'll remember always, but it's really cool seeing new players and new teams go through new journeys and creating new stories like the stories we had. So, I'll always remember it, but I'm always chasing it now as a coach. I want to be like Coach Weber and actually coaching the Final Four now.
Well, it was just an honor to take that team. And, the thing that we passed the ball. We played small ball before anyone else did. We had 3 guys played point guard in the NBA. Roger was kind of a 3-man playing the 4. James Augustine was a 4 playing the 5. So we were doing things, and the way they moved the ball was the first time they ever talked about the ratio of assists per field goal. And we would have 24, 25 field goals. We'd have 18, 20 assists. And they didn't care. They didn't care who did it. And that's what really, I think, made it special. And I'll always remember it. Dejuan Gordon, one of our players now, a freshman from Chicago, he was watching the game the other day. He goes, "Why don't we play like that, Coach?" I said, "I ask that all the time, but."
Oh, Bruce, Roger, thanks so much for giving us some time to look back on this. It's amazing. It's been 15 years, but 15-year anniversary of that incredible team. And listen, as someone whose parents went to Illinois, sisters, cousins who married a Fighting Illini, thank you for an awful lot of joy that you gave to a lot of people in my life. Thanks so much for your time, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.